Wherever she goes, I go, we roll, we go. Flying over cities down to Rio, it's Rio. Love that I feel, oh nothing lasts forever, but I'm down for the minute, so just chill.
I've been using the Samsung Galaxy S10 for more than 2 weeks now, and I wanted to create this video and share with you guys my experiences with this device so far. Right from the start, I want to say that this is an incredible device and that Samsung really nailed it this year. I'm also truly amazed how Samsung was able to pack so many features into a device this light and thin without compromising on the design. But even though this might sound like a perfect smartphone, there are still a couple of considerations that I want to mention before you actually make a decision to purchase this device. Hello guys, what's up? Dario here and welcome to a new video. Before we start with the video, make sure to subscribe and also hit the notification bell so that you get notified next time I upload a video. Let's start with the most noticeable thing on this smartphone, and that's the gorgeous 6.1-inch curved dynamic AMOLED screen. And when I say gorgeous, then I really mean it. There's nothing out there that can compete with Samsung's screen technology, and this is the best screen that you can currently get on a smartphone. It's bright, it's sharp with a resolution of 1440 x 3040 pixels and has even more accurate color reproduction. And next to that, it has full support for HDR10+, which will give an additional punch to the color reproduction when playing supported content. The bezels have additionally slimmed down, which resulted in a 88.3% screen-to-body ratio, and because of the curved display and thin top bezel, you will have a feeling that you're holding just a screen in your hand. But there are a couple of things that we need to talk about here, because Samsung would not be able to achieve this kind of almost bezel-less look and feel without repositioning the front selfie camera somewhere. So what they did, they laser cut the AMOLED screen and positioned the camera in the top right corner of the screen. And you would probably now ask me the burning question, is it really that noticeable as it looks like? Well, in the beginning you do notice it, but over time you just stop noticing it, and it really isn't as intrusive as it looks like. And especially if you apply a wallpaper like this, which completely hides it when you're on the home screen. And also it becomes even less visible if you're, for example, using dark mode, which changes all light menu elements in a pitch black color. Also, when watching videos on it, there is rarely important content that is shown in the top left corner of the screen, and if you really want to make it even less intrusive when watching a video, you can always rotate the phone and have the hole punch in the bottom right corner of the screen. There's one additional thing that I want to discuss regarding the thin bezels, and that's connected to the full screen gesture controls. My recommendation would be that in the beginning, when you start using this phone, be very careful when using those full screen gesture controls, because you could easily end up in a situation where you tip your phone over and it lands on the floor. So first of all, gesture controls on Android aren't as refined as on iOS, and second, since the screen is very tall and the bezels are very slim, when reaching with your thumb for the bottom part of the screen and when doing a swipe up, you are losing a lot of grip on this already slippery phone, which can make it tip over your index finger and fall on the ground. So if you find it difficult to use the full screen gesture controls, I would recommend you to go with the traditional on-screen navigation buttons, and you will still have here plenty of vertical space to display your content. The design of this phone is very simple yet very elegant. It's an all-glass phone that is surrounded by polished metal. Be also aware that this phone, especially the black version that I have here, is a gigantic fingerprint magnet. It doesn't even matter how many times you clean this phone, the moment you pick it up, you will immediately see fingerprints on it. So if you want to avoid fingerprints, I would recommend you to get a sticker for the back of your phone, or maybe to go with the white version of this phone. The unlock button is positioned a bit higher, which makes it not really that easy to reach, but since you're equipped with an in-screen fingerprint reader, you will practically never need to reach for it, as you have to lean your finger on the screen and it will automatically unlock. Samsung uses here an ultrasonic in-screen fingerprint reader which uses sound waves to read your finger. In terms of speed, you will notice a delay of a couple of milliseconds. It isn't as fast as a physical fingerprint reader, but it also isn't any slower than, for example, Face ID on an iPhone X. But the real problem that I experienced with it was that sometimes it just doesn't recognize my finger, and it doesn't matter how I position my finger, how hard I press on the screen, it just doesn't recognize it. And even though it happens occasionally, it's still very annoying because after a couple of unsuccessful unlocks, your phone gets blocked for 30 seconds, and I really hope that this is something that they will fix in one of the upcoming software updates. Even though the top earpiece seems small, it's able to pack a punch as it's part of a stereo speaker setup which is present on the S10. The bottom speaker is side-facing, but the two of them can still get very loud and still sound very crisp. So if you combine that with the super sharp dynamic AMOLED screen, the Galaxy S10 becomes a really great device for content consumption. In terms of performance, the European version of the Galaxy S10 has the following specs: the Exynos 9820 octa-core 8nm chip, the Mali G76 GPU, and 8 gigs of RAM. I have the 128GB model, but you can also get it with 512GB, plus there's also an ability to add room with expandable storage up to 512GB additionally. So on paper, the Galaxy S10 should fly, and it really does. It's blazing fast, snappy, and super smooth. Switching through apps feels like a breeze because of the 8GB of RAM. Also, I have to give Samsung props for what they did with their new One UI Android overlay. You can really see that they gave a lot of thought in the way how people use phones today, and that they translated those ideas into a completely new user experience. So for example, they understand that phones today are very tall and that the majority of people have difficulties reaching the top part of the screen with their fingers. These small usability details are present throughout the whole S10 experience, which is a very welcome refreshment. This year we have 4 cameras, 3 in the back and 1 selfie camera on the front. So on the back we have a 12 megapixel 26mm wide angle lens with variable aperture, a 12 megapixel f2.4 52mm telephoto lens, and also the 16 megapixel f2.2 12mm ultra wide lens. So the primary wide angle camera is able to capture some really good photos with excellent dynamic range. The photos, in my opinion, are very color accurate and true to life, and compared to previous years, I would even say that the colors are now a bit less saturated than they used to be on previous Galaxy devices. But the real star of the show here is the ultra-wide camera, which enables you to take some really epic shots and video footage. This is especially something useful if you like to take pictures of buildings and architecture, or if you want just to fit more people in the picture. Also, panorama pictures with the ultra-wide lens look much more immersive than ever before. Live focus on the back camera worked really well, and even with some quite complex subjects, like for example this tree, it was able to recognize what's in the foreground and what needs to be blurred. Since the main camera has a variable aperture, night shots looked really great. They ended up very sharp, and in my opinion the colors were true to life. The back camera is also able to shoot some impressive video footage in 4K and also in 4K 60fps. The super steady mode works great as well, and if you're able to keep your hands also steady, you will have a feeling that the footage was shot with a gimbal. And again, shooting video with the ultra-wide camera delivers some highly immersive footage. The selfie camera won't disappoint you here as well, but be aware that it tends to a bit overexpose the subject. Live focus will in 95% of the cases do a great job, but sometimes it can struggle when faced with complex backgrounds, like in this case around my ears. An additional thing that you will definitely love by this selfie camera is the fact that it can record 4K videos, which makes it a great choice if you are vlogging a lot. The battery on this phone has a capacity of 3400 milliamp hours. Since I'm using the European version of the Galaxy S10, I have the Exynos chipset, which gave me decent but not really that great battery life. I would approximately get 3 to 4 hours of screen on time, while for example I saw on forums that users from the US with the Snapdragon version were getting 5 to even up to 6 hours of screen on time. So it's definitely something that you should consider if you're buying the Galaxy S10 in Europe or in Asia. The good part is that the Galaxy S10 has 15-watt fast charging and also fast wireless charging, which in my opinion a bit compensates for the not so great battery life. Other things that are also worth mentioning by this device is, yes, this phone still keeps the headphone jack even though it's 2019. And yes, the second SIM card slot on this phone can be used as a micro SD card slot for storage expansion. And to be honest, this is something that I really appreciate by Samsung because they give people choice. In terms of the price, this device costs $899 or 899 euros in Europe. Okay, it's conclusion time, so here's a quick roundup of the pros and cons of this device. So what I definitely like here is the screen, the performance, the cameras, design, the refined One UI experience, the expandable storage option, and also the headphone jack. In terms of the cons, it's still, I believe, a bit pricey, the inconsistent in-screen fingerprint reader, and also the average battery life, at least in the Exynos version of the phone. So overall, I would say that the Galaxy S10 is one of the most complete phones that's out there in the market. It has the best screen out there, it has a great design, it's very performant, and it also has a great camera setup. Yes, it's more expensive than the previous year, but this year you also get a lot more in the package. And also if you pre-order this device like I did, you also get the Galaxy Buds completely for free, and they retail for $130. So if you ask me, the Galaxy S10 is a pretty sweet deal, and I would definitely recommend you to get one. If you do decide to get one, I left my Amazon affiliate links in the description below, so please use them because it would help me a lot. I know it was a bit of a lengthy video, but I still hope that you guys enjoyed it. In the comment section below, let me know what you guys think about the Galaxy S10, and if you liked the video, hit the thumbs up button, and also don't forget to subscribe. And until then, I will see you guys in the next video, so take care.